Like to call the meeting in order of December 11th, 2025. I would like to start with the call of order, roll call. If you have Sarah, please.
Sure. Dick is not here. Bauk,
Here.
Crawford,
Here.
Raphael,
Here.
Kubaziak,
Here.
and Holly.
Here.
For a clarification, just with roll call, I want to make sure that let's see, is Matt, you're an alternate, right?
I am, yeah.
But are we're still at four, we're only at four permanent members, right? Is that correct, Grayson? Do you remember?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So Matt can participate, but he can't vote. Is that the way I understand it? Or is it as an alternate he can? We get up to five. I want to make sure we're straight on that. Because we went from five permanents down to four, if I recall.
No, Dick is the fifth permanent member, isn't he?
Oh, that's
Chris is the
one,
fifth
two,
member,
three,
yes.
four. Yeah, no, you're right. We
Dick's
have
not
five.
here,
I'm sorry, it's five with Dick.
Yes. five.
Okay, so you can vote. Sorry,
Yes.
got it right. Got it. I want to make
Sorry.
sure so we're understood on that.
Yes.
Yeah, you're able to vote. Okay, want to make sure. I forgot.
Sorry,
I
Grace.
didn't know this.
I-
don't.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
Just wanted to make sure in my mind. Appreciate that. Thank you. But we did talk about that at one time, I guess.
Yes.
So, okay, second item on the agenda, is there any changes, additions, deletions to tonight's agenda? Other than a T on communication on item 7? Or is that just
Other than what? Oh, the T, yeah.
or comments I meant?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the agenda be approved as presented.
Support.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes approved. Item number 3 is approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of April 10th, 2025. Does anyone have any comments that was in that meeting, that anything they've noticed that needs to be altered or changed?
They seemed accurate to me.
You were there, I was there, I read them over, didn't see any really things. Richard, you were in that meeting, I think.
Right.
Chris also, right?
Yes.
Looks good to me.
Okay. Then I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes from April 10th as submitted. Chris, and seconded.
I'll second.
Jim seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, minutes are approved. At this time, we move to public comments from anyone who wants to make any comments on the agenda that we have tonight. Anyone other than maybe the applicant who will speak probably at that time, but they don't do online anymore, do that way, do we? Yeah, right. So just in person. All right, so no public comments. So
We do have 3 written public comments.
right, but I usually I thought those were part of the meeting, not our own
Oh,
structure
okay.
used to keep that part of
Communications.
under, yeah. Under
Okay, I'm
communications,
sorry.
Yeah. Well, when we opened
Yes.
once we opened up the meeting, then we have those.
Yeah, you can read them at that point as
Right,
well.
after the applicant gives his, we always
Mhm.
like to read them at that time, so. All right, let's see,
Mr. Chair, if I could just jump in for a second, there may be someone online who wants to speak. I'm not sure if we asked the people on Zoom for public comment.
back up on item number 4 for public comment. You do have, there's someone?
Gary usually. but-
Gary's online, but he didn't raise his hand that I could see.
No.
Oh, no, I apologize. I it looked like he turned his camera on like he wanted to speak. We just wanted to make sure we covered that. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
I'll check.
That's
Thank
all right.
you.
Thanks, Trent. All right. Okay. So, nothing under old business. And we're down to new business. And new business, we have an A and a B. We'll have on A, we have a application in front of us for Frederick Street, a dimensional variance for parcel number 57-850-010-00. For that, what we would like to do to start that off, I would ask the applicant to, anyone from the applicant wants to come forward and present your information. We would like to have you do that at this time. Yeah, give us your name, address, or whatever we are.
Hi.
So not your social security number, okay?
Saul Franco, Northeast Grand Rapids.
Excuse me, could you move the mic up just a little bit, just so people online can hear you?
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah,
Saul Franco, Northeast Grand Rapids.
okay. Okay. Go ahead.
Just explain it, right?
Well, you can tell us any comments you may have on the information that's presented to us.
Okay, yeah, no, well, just working with the Eagle and the city of Saugatuck over the last couple of years, our project that my wife and I want to do here, we're working backwards. So we wanted to start off with an ADU and then proceed later on with a larger home. We were in contact with Ryan Cummings a few times, to make sure if we do this, that we do it right so that we can reverse it later, so that the small structure that we hope to build, we can make that the ADU later on. The whole building process for us, has always been a long-term place for us to live. And so having kind of a multi-family generational house for our parents and stuff, and then for our kids who are grown-ups, but just being able to, if it all worked out someday, have your family close. And so that's where we were when we first moved in, or when we first obtained the property. We thought we were doing real good, and then come to find out, our first major challenge was there's a city water line going through the property, which we knew there was a water line, but there was no easement.
Oh,
No easement recorded, no easement recorded by the city of Saugatuck. So worked through that with Ryan and the city attorney staff and whoever they use. And from there, city obtained a 30-foot wide easement that kind of goes at an angle from east to west and takes up a huge swath of the lot. And so, okay, we have to contend with that. Let's see what, so that was really just the biggest thing. And so then with that, we also, being in the dunes over here, we have to work through Eagle. We hired Peterson Environmental to help us work with this. This is the first time I built a property out here. And so, all right, what do we need to do? So we, you work with those who supposedly know best. And then as you can see there's the water line right kind of down section in the middle, and it kind of veers off. And our proposed ADU is the one on the right. And the maximum size it could be later on when the full house is built is 600 square feet. So we understood it was going to be small. It's going to be one bedroom, one little bathroom, tiny little kitchen. Wanted a garage as in West Michigan. We just had a foot of snow. I don't really want to try to have to worry about snow and scraping the ice off my car anymore. And that was a large part of that. What we ended up having to do though, is we spent a very long time working with Eagle. Me personally, just on the sidelines, following the advice of Peterson Engineering and Nader Valve Engineering, working with Eagle, and we literally jumped through a lot of hoops to get to where we are today. With some of you may be familiar how an application process, what we experienced at least, they give you 120 days, they'll give you an answer. We went weeks beyond those 120 days without answers. And so as Peterson put it, we're just going to wait. And okay, so we just kept waiting. The whole process took a really long time. And so that is really how we got to where we are here in front of you guys today. It came to our attention that apparently there's a problem with I don't know if it's the ADU or the garage.
the ADU, well, the front door of the ADU, I guess, right?
No, it's the front facade of the.
Facade, I meant
Garage.
facade of, yeah.
So I guess as I read through the ADU requirements, the 154.022 under the building code, I thought we were doing things properly. The ADU technically is, the garage isn't part of the ADU. It's not considered square footage. It's not considered finished square footage. It's just, it's a garage. I don't know what the town calls it, but the ADU itself doesn't have access to the garage from inside. You have to go outside. And so with that, my thought was, and this is, a lot of this is more recent since Grayson brought it up to our attention, that we were still in compliance as the front door of the ADU and the front door of the proposed front door of the main house, they're far apart. And according to what I thought were the rules, as I was looking, we were doing okay, but apparently it's not about the ADU, I guess, and it's about the garage. Is that my understanding?
I'm going to let Grayson answer that.
Yeah, so the garage is part of the ADU structure. I agree. It's not counted towards the gross finished floor area, but it is still gross floor area. So the front of the garage would need to be behind the front door of the proposed primary dwelling that's to be built. In other words, it would need to be about 10 feet back from where it is.
Okay. Well, I mean, that was just, I didn't realize that. I mean, until very, very recently when you expressed that to Chris, yes, but, yeah, so we're asking for permission to kind of leave it like it is. I've spoken to both of our neighbors who actually own homes directly to the north and directly across the street. I believe they may have submitted something on our behalf. We're not trying to be crazy here. We're not actually, as I read this from the city of Saugatuck notice, but hearing notice, it sounds like we're encroaching, which, as Grayson, you just explained, we are. But our garage for the ADU is no further than the house garage. We weren't trying to bypass any rules or anything like that. And discussed it with the two neighbors that we can actually see from this location, and just told them, we're not trying to like really sneak up on the frontage road or anything like that. So that's kind of how we are from here. And so we were just hoping that instead of having to change everything and try to rework everything with Eagle, it's a challenge. It's been a real challenge. And I don't know if we're far off or not, but the water line coming in the easement that we worked with the city to have put in place kind of changed a lot of what we were planning to do.
Yeah, I can see where you had to get that established.
I mean, it's 30 feet wide and it moves. It's part of, it's a 5-lot lot, but it's part, that easement takes up a whole lot over 2. I mean, it takes up a huge chunk of it. I did try to work with Ryan at the time. It's like, hey, can this easement, instead of being 30 foot wide, squeezing through, can we make it 20? And he said, no. I said, oh, okay. So.
Well, does anybody recall, Grayson, if you've gotten into it prior to this, was there any looks at building on one building on 2.5, 2.5 lots, and the other one on 2.5 lots? Does that work? I mean, why is it one, they're making 1 lot out of 5. They're going to build on 1 lot. They're going to make 5 lots, build on 1, right? 1 resident with an ADU.
Yes.
So is there not a potential of calling two residents on 2 lots? Theory, making it out of 2.5 each? Does that still meet their requirements? Is that something that I'm missing, or is that just?
Yeah, so what's been approved so far is the ADU structure where it's located. And they're allowed to have a detached ADU, 1 single detached ADU, which can't exceed that 600 feet, which kind of mitigates that issue of creating more than 1 single family home on 1 single lot.
Well, I think, Bubs, the question is, if you took the 5 lots, which are now, which they're contiguous, so they count as 1 buildable lot, What if you divided that into 2 lots?
Oh,
Did a
Right.
division?
I would say if you divide it
And
into
built one
lots, two
home
and
on
a
each
half.
of
yeah.
those lots.
yes, that is one way to make this.
And then probably the setbacks from the easements and everything would probably still work,
Yes,
and you would not be having an ADU. You'd have 2 residents.
yes, because as you mentioned, the garages are both in line with each other and they both would meet the setbacks.
Yeah, right.
And can you have a common driveway entrance for 2 separate homes like that?
Yes, and that is approved by the fire department as well.
Okay.
If it makes you any feel better, if that is a workable event, the 600 square foot isn't getting any bigger. Even though they would be 2
Yeah,
separate lots.
mean,
We're
was
still
that-
gonna,
Might allow it to be bigger, but that doesn't mean you want it bigger.
we're not.
Yeah,
going
I'm
to
not
do that.
saying it. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
saying
no,
you
we're
need.
not doing that.
Yeah, I understand your point. I appreciate your minimalness of and understanding of what it is you want to end up with. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a challenging lot. If anybody's driven up there,
Yeah.
it's a challenging lot. We give you a lot of credit.
To
to this
the
point,
right of that
the-
ADU is a steep hill going down to the cabin.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that last lot is completely untouchable.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, but yeah, 2 lots, as you said, if you could separate this.
And Grayson, would the ADU meet the requirements? In that case, it would have to be a single family home.
Yes, it currently does, which is why we were able to approve it separate from the future home.
So it would meet the requirements to be a separate, single family home on a separate lot if the 5 lots were divided into 2.
That's correct.
Okay, that was one of my questions while you're up here. I mean, we may have more questions later on that, what we'll do is we'll go in and read any of the, correspondence we have that either for or against your application, and then we will do our own deliberation and discussions about what we have ideas of or what thoughts on. Then we read our standards and respond to our standards as to how the proposed, as it sits right here, as it's being proposed to us, how it meets our standards. So in the meantime, we may have a question or two for you at that time. And we'll ask you.
I have a couple if we could.
You got some now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Could you tell us, please, is there anything that you have considered that would make it conforming? You're lacking 10 feet on the front. You've got a deck on the back. Could you push it back? Could you move the garage to the side? What options might you have considered?
So what we were trying to do is right now, if you're on Frederick Street and you look across, that structure is only 30 feet wide. If we move the garage to the side, in my opinion, and as I was trying to be good stewards to our neighbors, especially the Knutsons across the street, they just finished their home. Right now, they're looking at something that's only 30 foot wide. If we have to move the garage, they're going to be talking about a structure, even though it's quite tiny, is now 45 to 55 feet wide, looking from the road. So how do we maintain ourselves as good neighbors? I mean, they don't want to look at your structure than they have to. It's really pretty off to that side of the mountain. So that was the reason the garage wasn't considered for the side. It's like we put it in front, as you're from the street view, it just looks tinier and it takes up less space across the entirety of the lot. Plus, I'm not really sure. Again, without being the engineer part, everything changes.
What if you just pushed it straight back 10 feet?
We would not have a deck at that point.
Is the deck on the ground or elevated?
It's slightly elevated, but those dashed lines there, that's as far back as we can go.
According to whom, Eagle? Eagle?
Eagle and then the setbacks as required by the state.
Okay. Well, you've got more setback, your lot line's further back, right?
Yeah.
The lot line is.
So you meet the lot line setback, I'm sure.
Yes.
Not the eagle, the dotted is the eagle buildable, yeah, so.
What about moving the house forward?
The ADU cannot be.
Not the ADU, the other.
Um. Yeah, I mean. That's a possibility. I mean, yeah, it kind of ended, both of these projects have ended up there after literally over a year of appeasing Eagle's requirements. And multiple back and forth between the engineers. And this is where we have determined and been authorized by Eagle to place these homes with some of the structures to support them. And so, and everything that's up there, it took a long time to get Eagle's authorization on, and it went back and forth. And so we were just constantly jumping to work with them. I mean, but right there in front of the main house, it's quite steep. It doesn't show it in this.
Yeah, of course. Okay, yeah, you do.
Just the next one.
Next one, this one.
No, it's gonna look like this one.
Down a little
Lot more lines.
further, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, you're fine.
All right, no, keep going.
There it is.
So the location of the houses, both homes as they are, is the least invasive to the dunes. And that's why they're placed where they are. We're well within the setback requirements. It's just, it's very steep towards the bottom of this page, Frederick Street. And
Is the heavy dotted line, the interior, the exterior dotted line is Eagle buildable. The interior heavier dotted line, is that interior buildable of the exterior? I'm trying to understand the difference between the two outlines.
this here's the lot line.
Right, got that.
Here's where we can build.
All right, what's the heavy dotted lines?
The one that kind
The
of
thick
wavers
one.
around.
Yeah, it goes all around the two houses and.
There's something about it.
Does it show on the legend down below, Sarah? Oh, it's soil material stockpile. Okay,
Okay.
I was trying to understand that.
Right.
So you're gonna stockpile soil.
Eagles got them pinned down for.
Gonna mine sand. Was
Some
that
of that is also limits of disturbance, the one right next to it,
limited to limits of the
the
disturb?
broken lines.
Oh, I
It looks like
see.
Lines, but there's, looks like little words maybe. Right
It's just
down
the way it's
here.
scanned in. It's just the thinner.
Oh, there, oh, I see. There's a thicker and a,
Very bottom.
there's a heavy thick and a thin thick, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yes,
Limit of disturbance. So that's in a sense
That's what we
buildable.
can build.
Yeah.
Curve out.
Okay. All right, anybody else? Like I said, we
Well-
may have some more questions later. If you want to ask them now, that anything you think would help
I'll-
us with our deliberation.
Yeah, well, I will only ask it now because I think you already may have asked it, the deck there. You could lose the deck. But there was a reason why you couldn't, or, I mean, couldn't you lose the deck and move it all back? Or can you get rid of the deck and move it all back to that? You gain, looks like maybe 12 feet there.
Technically, you probably could lose the deck and not have use of an outdoor space there.
I mean, so that's a theoretical possibility that you could, that's doable. That's a doable solution at least in the range of doable solutions. Okay.
It's probably not something I would prefer. It'd be nice to have a deck to sit out in the.
Right.
Versus not, But yes, to answer your question, yes.
Right.
That's possible.
Yes, well, thank you for that.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate where you're coming from, but, yeah.
Yeah, no, as my parents and our grandparents, it's like, I really don't want them walking out. Just here, welcome to the sand.
Right.
Don't fall off.
Don't, yeah, that's a long way down. Okay, all right, Franco, I think if we're all set, if you got anything right now, we're all,
If you split this into two lots.
Can you go up to the mic just so they can?
yeah, if you want, introduce yourself if you would, please, just for the
Chris
recording.
Lozano, Custom Carpentry, live in Saugatuck here.
Chris?
If you would split this lot to make virtually all these problems go away,
Yes.
The one on you.
right?
Yeah.
That easement that the city laid on there is not square with the world, so it's gonna be on both lots.
Yeah, it'd be
It's
easement.
gonna, it's because it's on an angle and you draw a line square,
Mhm.
that's
No,
gonna
that's
be
good.
allowed.
Yeah, I can't answer that. I mean, you can have what is it, a 30-foot easement? So you'd have a 15 on each side.
Well, it wouldn't be though.
It's not perfectly centered, you're saying?
Yeah,
It's on an angle.
Yeah.
The easement is.
Yeah.
as long as it meets
Where
the
the-
requirement
Is-
is available to be split, which the assessor.
On page 34, which shows these are the lots that you purchased,
Yeah,
10, 11, 12, 13, and
that is
14.
correct, that's correct.
So you could take 13 and 14 and call that one lot, and then 10 through 12 as the other lot, so it wouldn't mess with.
I think if you did that, you'd be very close to your side yard setbacks though. On the 13, the line between 12 and 13, you might be a touch too close to that house.
No, I don't, well.
But it wouldn't affect
I don't
the-
think
You
so.
might be, but it also depends upon the minimum lot size. To be buildable, there has to be a minimum lot size. So you could divide it anyway as long as each lot met the minimum.
Right,
And you've got 5 lots there, so it should.
Yeah, there's definitely room.
yeah.
100%. But I was just wondering about if you drew that line right down the middle of 12, is everyone going to be happy with that easement being on two separate lots? Because obviously it's public utilities, there's gas, there's everything running through that.
So question for Grayson.
Yeah, it would be able to remain. It would just have to be rewritten to go with the new lots. And
Yeah.
it would still have the same rules to stay clear so that nothing could be built there.
Would that change the tax situation for them, having two lots instead of one?
As that I can't speak to.
Or 5,
Yeah.
like now.
Oh, yeah,
I would imagine there'd be some, but the assessor would be the better person to answer that one.
And obviously they chose that spot on the property because that's the flattest area. That's why they picked that and they left the hills to be used.
got it.
That's what's.
I
making
can
it
appreciate
hard.
that. I can appreciate that.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, yeah, especially in that lot.
I would imagine they would have had to fight with Eagle also to be drilling through
Yeah,
Yeah,
too steep of a dune. So they picked the easy spot, which
Yeah.
was the smart thing to do, but
Yeah.
it also created problems for a homeowner here that when he bought the lots, it wasn't even on there. It wasn't recorded.
correct, yeah, I understand.
So
Yeah,
that's part of the challenge here, really.
sure. Okay.
Good.
All right, well, thank you,
Thank you.
Chris. I want to, for the record, one thing, apologize, I want it on the record, I would like to have Grayson at least read the overview for the record, so we have that on record of tonight's application. Then we'll go into our private deliberation.
Absolutely. So the applicant requests a variance to allow the facade of an accessory dwelling unit to be located closer to the public street right of way than the front door of the principal dwelling unit. The request relates to section 154.022 W4, which is shown below. 4. An accessory dwelling, which is not located within the single-family detached dwelling, shall not be located between the front door of the single-family detached dwelling and the public right of way, unless located above an existing attached accessory structure.
Okay. All right. Um, so we get to flip back and forth a little bit, guys, on our, on our everything here between their, the comments, overview and a little bit of the background. So make sure you keep those straight. And at this time, I'd like to read or have us read a couple of the letters that we've received, maybe. Yeah, you can sit up. Well, Doc. I go this way with two of them.
We've all got them.
Oh, you all got them?
Which one?
Why don't you, Richard, how about if you do?
This variance.
Tim, yeah, Tim. Hudson?
Tim Knudsen.
Yeah, yes, why don't you do that one?
Guys, from Timothy R. Knudsen, owner of 441 Frederick Street. Dear members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, I'm the owner of 411 Frederick Street, located diagonally across from the subject property lots 10, 14, and I'm writing in support of the applicant's variance request as it relates to the additional dwelling unit. I appreciate that the applicant has chosen to build one primary home and one ADU, and I do not have concerns with the ADU location as proposed. This structure size is appropriate for the property and fits the character of Frederick Street. I've also had good discussions with the applicant on certain design elements and minimizing removal of trees that do not need to be removed for the structure itself. My only remaining concern relates to the driveway configuration. The current plan with two separate curb cuts on Frederick that connect internally creates the effect of a secondary roadway running parallel to Frederick. This expanded paved area results in greater tree removal than would be necessary with a single shared access, which would change the natural wooded feel of Frederick. Based on conversations with city staff, my understanding is that this dual entrance configuration is not a city requirement and may have reflected primarily the fire access discussions rather than a fixed standard. Frederick itself is a 20-foot wide public street, and the proposed structure sits roughly 40 feet back, providing substantial frontage clearance for emergency access. For these reasons, I hope to correspond with the fire department with the applicant included to ask whether a single curb cut could be used, while still allowing the driveway to flare internally or otherwise provide adequate turning and access for emergency vehicles serving both structures. This would maintain required fire access while reducing the appearance of a parallel road, which I think helps preserve this pocket of the community. I raise this only as a request for continued coordination during later phases. It does not affect my support for the variance before you today, which will allow the applicant to build appropriate structures. I respectfully ask that the variance be approved. Thank you for your consideration.
Thanks, Richard. Jim, would you like to do the one from John and Sarah Vanderbeek?
Sure. This letter is from John and Sarah Vanderbeek, who are the owners of 448 and 449 Frederick. Dear members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, I am the owner of 448 and 449 Frederick Street, located adjacent and diagonally across from the subject property, and I am writing to concur with my neighbor, Mr. Knudsen, in support of the city helping the applicant to have the driveway they really want. The current plan with two separate curb cuts on Frederick that connects internally creates the effect of a secondary roadway running parallel to Frederick. This expanded paved area results in less natural sand dune landscaping than would be necessary with a single shared access, which would change the natural wooded feel of Frederick. I was involved with the original road building and remember the extra effort and cost that went into making that 20-foot wide road for the fire department requirements. We really wanted to further protect this fragile dune ecosystem and wished for it to be 16 feet, but didn't want to deal with the required sprinklers. We personally showed up in support of this road being built at 20 feet, even though I thought it was excessive, because I was I was happy to make it easy for the fire department to have access and protect us in our dwellings and the surrounding forest. I've also had good discussions with the applicant on certain design elements and minimizing removal of trees that do not need to be removed for the structure itself, and feel that they'd like to do the best they can and expect that. I plan to work with my neighbors to correspond with the fire department, with the applicant included, to ask whether a single curb cut could be used while still allowing the driveway to flare internally or otherwise provide adequate turning and access for emergency vehicles serving both structures. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, John and Sarah Vanderbeek.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Matt, would you like to do the one from Ken Altman that was submitted?
Sure. I'm ready to express my disapproval of allowing a variance to build an accessory dwelling unit on the above parcel. Any variance that proposes to increase the density in a critical dune area should be denied. These heavily wooded areas along the lake shore are one of Saugatuck's greatest assets and should be protected from inappropriate development. The removal of 53 trees to build 2 houses on a single lot is a egregious violation of the spirit of the Critical Dune Act and the ordinance. I view this as nothing more than a means to circumvent the short-term rental caps. It should be denied. Thank you, Ken Altman.
Okay. Then we have 2 letters in support, 1 not in support, I guess. Okay, let's now go into any kind of discussions or questions we may want to have amongst ourselves based on the information. We also have received, our overview.
Hey, Bob,
Oh,
we
yes.
have to do an additional comment opportunity
Oh.
before that. Public hearing.
Anybody online or in the room?
I would just, Mr. Chair, if you could just like officially open the public hearing and then ask for public comment
Okay.
and then close it so that's clear
Yep,
for
all right.
Sarah's minutes. Yep.
Sure, if there's, okay, I can ask if there is any other public comments at this point.
No hands.
Nothing? Okay, thanks, sir. Appreciate that.
Close the public hearing.
Yep, and close the public portion and go into deliberation ourselves. Okay. So, anyone want to make any comments or anything based on what we've heard tonight from the applicant, based on the correspondence that's been shared with us on our packets, both from, the city and from the city's consulting firm and things like that, if you may have questions for Grayson, or if so.
I
Anybody?
have a
Chris,
question.
okay.
The 2 of these, the 2 letters refer to something about the curb cuts and the driving. What has that got to do with?
Nothing with us.
Okay,
Yep,
all right. Just wanted.
that wouldn't be wouldn't be anything we would, under our
Good.
jurisdiction. So,
I would even say the last one doesn't really apply because it's already been approved. The ADU's already been approved, right? So.
a little bit more louder, sorry.
I'm saying the last letter, the one that I wrote, he's disapproving of allowing a variance to build the unit. That's already been approved, right? So that doesn't even really
Well-
apply either, so.
Yeah, other than the dimensional situation, right?
Correct, but
Yeah.
I mean, building it has already been approved, right?
Yeah.
So.
It's a buildable lot.
I couldn't see 2 curb cuts here, but
I
I didn't really pursue it.
No, I gotta say, I'll give you my opinion in looking at the lots just from the road and everything. It sure makes a lot more sense to have 1 than 2, but probably because of the way the lots, the way the topography of the land works, it's like better to go that way than it is so I can understand that, my personal opinion.
You've driven out there, challenge, and right off the road.
Yeah, yeah, we don't need 2 of those, I guess is what I'm saying, but,
Go bridge and put an excess amount of fill in there. in
Yeah.
Areas that Eagle's not gonna allow.
yeah,
That's why the driveway was designed.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay, so, yeah, that's a good comment, but, that's nothing that would come into us as far as that goes. our focus tonight is really on the dimensional issue that we have been presented with as to whether or not, the way it's presented to us tonight, for us to review the standards. Prior to that, discuss any questions or any amongst us, anything we may have prior to going into the review of the standards that would help us understand how to look at those, whether it meets the standards or not. Now, we've had some some zoning responses and comments from each standard, and I'm sure most of you have read those comments a little bit. And those usually we can review as we review each standard itself, as we go through the 4 standards and discuss those prior to our understanding and our final vote. So I don't know, I know we had a few questions prior, then I got some of mine out, I did. Anything somebody has in their mind that feel that is wanting to discuss prior to starting our review of the standards?
Where should we stand on this? Is this basically just theoretical, possible remediation to when we talk about splitting these lots, and how at this point we're really not talking about that. We've talked about it as a possibility, but in our discussions for this evening, then are we to confine ourselves exactly to the item at hand, the 10-foot?
Basically, yes. I mean, unless we found reason to table it, we can either vote to approve, or deny, or table what's in front of us. I would guess, I don't know that I'm going to say that if that was to be the only reason there would be value there, you tabled it, and for some reason they looked at the split and didn't feel that was even possible, whether we would want to table it and come back and review the standards, or something else changed for setbacks. Right now, we're dealing with what we have, on paper in front of us. As far as the way it's submitted to this application, and the way it's been noticed to the public and everything. Right?
Yes.
Right. So the bottom line is, this is what we have to deal with right here. I only brought that up because I was just questioning. I mean, there are alternatives. I mean, there's a lot of things here that could be, it seems like a minor detail, but when you get down, when we get down into our standards, we may find that in that case, it may or may not be so minor. Might be able to say it does or doesn't meet them. But I think what we should do is go our review of the standards, and then may have some more questions to ourselves as we do that. Is that all right? Okay. So, board members, if you have your papers here ready to go, we will find that on page, starting with page 8 is our first standard. And Jim, would you mind starting with that one, and I'll work around the table that way?
Sure. Standard number 1, and these are the standards that we are required by the State Zoning Enabling Act to use to make a judgment. Although personal opinion may say this is beautiful, and I think it's very well laid out, and they've done a nice job, a nice presentation for us. My personal opinion doesn't matter. Does it satisfy the standards as required by the State Zoning Enabling Act? And in this case, this is standard number 1, strict compliance with area setbacks, frontage, height, bulk, or density would unreasonably prevent the owner from using the property for a permitted purpose or would render conformity unnecessarily burdensome. And the comment is, the applicant has not demonstrated that compliance with the zoning ordinance would be unnecessarily burdensome. There are multiple compliant development scenarios for the conforming lot, given the dune slope and the easement area. For instance, compliant scenarios that are not necessarily burdensome include, but are not limited to, and 5 of these are listed: redesign a detached accessory dwelling without an attached garage. Very few detached accessory dwelling units are designed as a single-story unit with attached garages. Redesign the detached accessory dwelling unit as a carriage house with living space over the garage. Redesign the detached accessory dwelling unit with the garage to the side of the living space as there remains sufficient space between the steep slopes and the easement. Redesign the facade of the principal dwelling to place the front door closer to the street. Redesign the site plan to shift the entire principal dwelling closer to the street. The required front setback is 25 feet, while the proposed setback is approximately 39 feet, leaving ample room to shift the building's front door forward. And then one that was not listed there would be a lot split with 2 separate homes. If Eagle did in fact prescribe the exact placement of the principal and accessory buildings, it has not been demonstrated that Eagle reviewed alternative building designs and footprints rather than the placement of the specific building designs desired by the applicant. For instance, the referenced Eagle statement cannot serve as a primary justification, as one compliant scenario involves removing the front of the garage of the accessory dwelling unit, and Eagle requirements certainly did not mandate including an attached garage. So based on the information presented here and that we have reviewed tonight, it's my opinion that standard 1 is not satisfied.
There are based on, let's going back, of course, to the reviews outline of the suggested potential workarounds. I guess that's one word to use, that the standard, it doesn't, there's seems to be options doesn't prevent the homeowner from using the property for permitted use. There are possibilities, that's what you're saying. That's why I understand.
Yeah,
what they intended to say.
Yes, that we haven't really demonstrated unreasonability here in the alternatives.
Mhm.
So the goal is to have a conforming structure without being unnecessarily burdensome, and we appear to not have fully satisfied that requirement. There may be options that would make it conform that are not unnecessarily burdensome.
Yeah, I think I would agree with the review, the review of that there are some opportunities there. Anyone, any comments on the standard or any of the review from the zoning administration?
I agree that there are other options that could be done instead of this plan specifically. So I agree that it's not unnecessarily burdensome.
Okay.
Can I just clarify that any change period to this has to be approved by Eagle? Do you have to go through the whole approval process again with them? Or are there any changes that you can do without? Does that include decks?
You're saying remove it?
No, I'm just saying if one of the options would be to say move the front door of the proposed future house forward, that porch would just move. I don't know if that would.
I think that's.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just wondering how far you can go without going back to Eagle and taking all that time up again and headaches. Yeah. So foundation.
Well, as long as it's in
changes.
the build, if it meets the setbacks and everything in the buildable area, it should be fine, right? In the buildable area of that's been laid out,
As defined by Eagle.
as defined by legal,
Right.
yeah.
So if you cut 10 feet off the front of the garage, you wouldn't have to go back to Eagle to approve the plans again. You would just be altering the plans still within their authorized.
Authorized
Space.
area,
Yeah.
space, yeah.
Yeah, so you're not.
Yeah.
My understanding is,
Yeah.
Well, he said what I heard, maybe I missed it, was any change of the foundation has to go back. So even cutting it back, would that have to go back?
I think so.
You would think not, if they approve this much and you're building a little less than that much, yeah. You would think.
Mhm.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
asking because I see that as like, a big part of the burden in this scenario is like the time and the going back and forth and trying to figure out what is okay. And that's a lot of time and money, and I understand that. So just trying to see what you can do without having to do that.
Yeah, because if you look at some of the cross sections that were submitted to, their elevations of the ADU building,
Mhm.
not just square feet. So now when they're looking at footprint, they're looking at elevations for filling in around, and they determine what could and could not. Right, there you go.
Mm.
what do we see?
You know, I mean, in the standard, although Matt, I guess depending on, this is sometimes the way these standards are written, how us to look at the way the intent of the standard or the, is met.
Mhm.
You can look at, there is a burdensome if, in a sense of, for them to change something, the way it's presented to us, on the other side, the part of the standard says, but it, does it, would compliance, prevent the property owner from, using the property or for a permitted use? We're not trying to do, we're not trying to
Prevent
change
from
that.
using the
It's,
property.
yeah, the permitted use is there.
Mhm.
It's just a dimensional thing that they're not meeting the dimensional side.
Mhm.
If there was sometimes to take a dimensional situation on standard number one, there are things that dimensionally say have been in a position and a property that's, I'll use an example, something that's been there for 100 years. And in order to move that other structure or that other situation, that obstacle would be a big burden or to the homeowner.
Mhm.
As opposed to, in a sense, here we have an open lot, it's restricted within a buildable area.
Mhm.
So they have to meet the buildable area. Going back is a burden, but not so much when it becomes keeping them from using the property for what it's permitted to do.
Mhm.
So you could you could take two sides to that, you could take one and say, well, there's a burden to them for the going back.
Right.
But to me, it doesn't really fall within the fact that we're not keeping them from, if we do deny that standard, we're not keeping them from being able to use that property as a permitted use.
Mhm.
There is buildable area and there's just dimensional issues that they're struggling with right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just trying to say that I understand that burden and just trying to understand how big of a burden that is and where that line is with what you can or
Yeah.
can't change without going back.
Good question. It's a good question.
Mhm.
All right. Well, how about, Matt, start your way and we'll work forward. Would you like to take standard number 2?
Two, sure. Number 2 states that a variance would do substantial justice to the owner as well as to the other property owners in the district, or whether a lesser relaxation would give substantial relief and be more consistent with justice to others. The comment is the current zoning allowances already provide substantial justice to the landowner in application as there are multiple compliant with development scenarios on the conforming subject lot. The lot is approximately 40% larger than the minimum lot area and 149% wider than required by the R1 PW zoning district. Based on the lot characteristics and zoning allowances, relief is not necessary to reasonably develop the property. Yeah, when I drove out there this afternoon, and I was thinking kind of what your first question was like, it seemed like the lot is really, it's just huge. It's big. I know that there are a lot of dunes and stuff, but it almost seems like it's just 2 houses to me. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
So as far as allowing like relief to other people, I don't know. I understand that we don't want accessory dwelling like units too far forward. And I agree with that. I understand that's the standard. I don't know. I think this is a difficult scenario in my mind.
That's what makes it tough when
Yeah.
when you try to, you read the
It-
standard.
Uh-huh.
It is a very difficult situation here, and you've been through a lot to get to where you are. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
To be a standard and to be enforceable, it has to be objective rather than subjective. It has to be defined, and as best possible, it has to be measurable so that everyone can come to the same conclusion. And to come up with a standard that assures that ADUs are not going to be in someone's front yard, which people would like to do given the opportunity,
Sure.
they had to pick something to make it objective. And so the city focused on the front door of the main house that everybody can see, can measure, can know this is the measurement point. It's like a speed limit. This is it. It's from this point that we measure front to back. And that's how the city chose to write the ordinance, and that's what's been in all the public hearings, and that's what the city, the residents of the city expect, because that's the published standard. So it has to be objective, and that's what was selected to make it that way.
Yeah, understood.
Okay. All right, Chris, how about number 3?
Mr. Chair, if I could just jump in for a second, I usually recommend that we take kind of a vote on each standard as we go through it. And so I'll defer to the ZBA as
Okay.
to how you like to do it. But I think there's been some good discussion here. And I just don't want that to get lost by getting to the end before we sort of take a vote. So if we could just go through 1, take a vote, 2, take a vote, I think that would be the recommended approach.
We can do that. I was gonna do them individually at the end because we've done it both ways. For
And
a while, they've said just, you vote on all, whether it meets, or doesn't meet all 4, but I like the individual ones, so.
yeah, and I'm just to clarify, I'm fine with doing it at the end. My point is I would recommend a vote on each standard. So there's like a clear consensus as to each standard. But if you want to do them all at the end, that's totally fine too.
Yeah, I'd like to do it. I'll do it at the end then. That's what I was thinking, that we would do them individually, yep. Okay, go ahead, Chris, on number 3.
Okay. Number 3, the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances of the property and not to the general neighborhood conditions. Comment. As mentioned earlier, the lot is larger and wider than required by R1 PW zoning district. However, the lot is unique in that it is much wider than it is deep, bisected by an east-west easement and includes sloping dunes. Still, these unique circumstances do not preclude the reasonable development of the subject property.
Right. Well, definitely it's a unique situation of property. I would say, as a property goes, neighborhood wise, there is other I mean, no two are the same out there, it looks like to me, let's put it that way. So you could say, but there are very unusual properties out there to begin with. That's the nature of that area. I think the comment that we're seeing here is that, going back into other things, that the circumstances for what the variance is that it's in front of us, and the situation of the ADU, the way it sits, the way our ordinance is written, as a dimensional situation to the main property is a pretty good standard, is a good standard for us to have in general. There's met for you can understand that you don't really have your accessory units in front of your main property on regular of any. And in this case, it's a little different in the way that they've done that, and I understand they're minimalist, that they're trying to keep it look like it's two properties, almost the way they align with the front setbacks. But by the design and the way the ordinance reads, it doesn't meet it. So, sometimes if you could say, number 3, it's a tough one. When I look at standards, a lot of times, sometimes you read them and they're an easy yes or an easy no. And then there are the times, the way they're written, that they allow you to interpret and try to come up with your 50-50 rule,
Yeah.
which side of the coin is it on?
Yeah.
And so this one here, it's, with the understanding of the efforts that you go through to try to make this and the minimal of impact that they're trying to create and have on a property. It doesn't seem, with the unique situation, it doesn't seem to be a big general neighborhood problem because of the size of the property and the way it lays out, the way it's going to look, as opposed to just not meeting the dimensional standard that our ordinance has to read by. Personally, I could go either way on that one a little bit. I could almost find a way to say that's a tough one for me, but. All right, and the last one.
Okay, number 4, that the problem is not self-created or based on personal financial circumstances. Staff report, while the lot dimensions and physical features are acknowledged to be unique, the circumstances do not result in a problem or significant development constraint beyond being incompatible with the applicant's desired development scenario and use of the property. The applicant has not demonstrated that other development scenarios and options are not feasible or are unreasonable. As such, the problem appears to be self-created. And thus that standard is not met for approval of the ZBA. Like some of the other ones, it's a little closer call, but it doesn't appear to be personal financial circumstances. Although what it also appears to be is their somewhat justified desire to have to go back to the drawing board and suffer the red tape of the bureaucracies of the state and whatnot. But when you boil it right down, is it self-created? I mean, it just seems like it's a flawed plan. It could have met it could have met the standard, but it doesn't. I mean, that's the way I see it. And so, so for those reasons, I have to agree that standard, or say that standard is not met.
I think you did. Your comments were pretty good on that one there, as far as, while it originally sounded like, well, it's not like it's a financial situation where a lot of times somebody is trying to just do something to save money or whatever and not meet the standard, as opposed to, financially, this isn't this thing where they're trying to say, listen, this is a big deal on that. On the other hand, it's self-created. They've self-created not knowing the ordinance, or the little, let's call it the little loophole not loophole, but the little detail on our ordinance that says, if you're gonna have an ADU, this is where this has to sit. They're trying to make that financially, they're trying to do the two individual units, so it doesn't look like there's a lot of overdone in that woods. They want the separation, and everybody, neighbors in letters, appreciate that. I'm sure future people will also, and the homeowner sounds like that's their choice. But but self-created, when we read it that way, it's self-created by the dimensional situation that we're presented with. I don't see, I don't know that, based on the other situations, that there aren't other options to accommodate and meet the law, or meet the rule that we've had other discussions on.
I think it's just that their architect was not aware of what the strict standard is. And
That's very cool.
got caught in a bind here.
Yeah.
But we started with a blank slate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not as if we're trying to, we got old problems hanging around.
Yeah, we're not expanding an existing building or trying to work with something that's existing. We're starting with a blank slate with, this is our buildable area. What can we do that's within the guidelines?
Right.
And I don't think there was any intent to violate the guidelines, as they said. I think they tried to do the very best they could, but somebody missed this one.
Okay, well, let's go back. What we need to do is, we need to go through and we're to take each of the four standards and go around and see what our standing vote is on each standard, as whether it meets or doesn't meet the standards as we have read them and discussed them and been presented. Remember that in order for us to approve an application like this, it has to meet all standards. If it doesn't meet one out of the three, it's denied. So, I mean, it could not meet all four. It could, or it could not meet two or whatever, but you have to have all four standards in order to approve the application the way it's presented. So, in doing so, let's go through the standards. And what we'll do, I think typically, is usually we just go around the table and do a yes or a no as to how you feel on each one. And then, of course, yes, it meets the standard, or no, it doesn't. And we'll start with standard number one. And Sarah, are you going to be the recorder of this? Oh, appreciate that. Jim, let's start with you, and we'll work around, and I'm always the last to vote, so.
Standard one is, as we discussed, is strict compliance with area setbacks, frontage height, bulk, or density would unreasonably prevent the owner from using the property for a permitted purpose, or would render conformity unnecessarily burdensome. based on the information and the discussions, I find that the standard has not been satisfied.
Okay. Matt,
For number one, I would agree. It has not been satisfied.
you agree or?
I would agree.
Great, okay. Chris,
Does not meet the standard.
okay. Richard,
Not me.
okay. And I agree with that. Okay, so out of the five of us, we all agreed that it does not meet standard number one. Standard number two, how about Matt? Or, yeah, if you'd like to, I think that's, you read it originally, right? We'll work our way through and then.
I
we'll-
did.
You want to read it again? Just the standard itself.
Sure, yeah, number two, that a variance would do substantial justice to the owner as well as to other property owners in the district, or whether a lesser relaxation would give substantial relief and be more consistent with justice to others. Yeah, I would say, I mean, I agree with the comment that it's a large lot. I think that they have designed nice homes, and I think just little tweaks would make it in compliance. So I would agree, or I would say it does not meet that.
Okay. Chris,
It doesn't meet that standard. It is not just for the people that have gone before or will come after.
okay. Richard, on number
4, yeah.
two, standard, no, you're voting on standard number.
That's
two.
right.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Whether it does. or
I,
not.
I believe the standard has not been met.
Okay. Jim,
I believe the standard is not met and that a lesser relaxation is not possible in this case.
okay. And I also agree that number two is not met. Number three, Richard, you want to read that one?
Okay,
Did you
yeah.
read that one earlier?
Yeah, yeah.
Give your opinion?
That the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances of the property and not to general neighborhood conditions. Per this staff information and our discussion, I believe that standard has not been met.
Okay. Jim,
I would say it is not satisfied, that is not met.
Matt,
I would agree it has not been met.
Chris,
Yeah, it has not been met.
I wavered on this one. I'm gonna give it a yes, not that it makes it pass, just that I'm gonna give it a yes, because I had my own wavering on that one. All right, and then the fourth standard. Chris, I guess you did the fourth one, right?
I'm sorry, me.
If you want to just read the
Oh,
number four.
Yeah, the problem is not.
Oh, that was number four.
No, we
No, I'm
did
sorry,
not read.
Three.
sorry, four. Sorry, that was three. Yep, I was off on my note.
That the problem was not self-created or based on personal financial circumstances because of the following. It is self-created. So it doesn't meet the standard.
Okay, Matt,
I would agree it doesn't meet the standard.
Richard,
I agree it does not meet the standard.
and Jim,
I agree it does not meet the standard.
and I agree on that one also. So, for our review and votes, we have found that the majority of us found that four of them completely did not meet it, and on one where the majority of us also said it did not meet it, and one who said yes. However, it does not meet any of the standards as we see presented the way it is in front of us. So what I would like to have now is maybe a motion based on our findings as to deny the applicant as presented in front of us. Would anyone like to take a stab at making a motion for that? We do have a suggested motion that we can use or not use that can work.
Listed under the recommendation.
Or, yeah, a recommendation, yeah.
Okay.
You want to try that, Rick, Jimmy?
Sure. Mr. Chairman, I move to deny the variance request related to section 154.022 W4 submitted by Custom Carpentry, Inc. for parcel 03-57-850-010-00 along Frederick Street to allow the placement of the proposed accessory dwelling unit to be closer to the street right-of-way than the front door of the proposed principal dwelling unit. The denial is based upon the board's agreement with the findings outlined in the staff report dated December 5th, 2025, which demonstrate that none of the standards have been satisfied.
Okay,
And those report findings have been read aloud as a part of our deliberations.
okay, thanks for adding that. They've been read and voted on. Does anyone else have any comments on the motion or want to make a second as the motion has been made to give it to roll call? I'll do it. I'll second the motion that Jim made to deny the request as the motion reads. And if you guys don't have any other questions, we'll go for roll call for final vote. Okay? Sarah?
Bell,
Yes?
Crawford,
Yes.
Lazio,
Yes.
Sabazia, or I'm sorry, Holly.
Yep.
Thank you, Bastiak.
Yes, thank you. Okay. So our findings have found that it does not meet the standards. It does not, as presented and to us in front of us tonight, it is not approved as a variance from the zoning board of appeals. That there are some recommendations or maybe some other things that should be very workable to keep the same appearance or possibly within reason, but I think my personal opinion is going to be that I like what you're doing. I think it's great. It's perfect. It's a great job. A little bit of the detail here. Jim's comment might be where he said if you check with your architect and they look at it and say, look, okay, here's a B plan. It still works with Eagle and everything, and it gives you what you want. That's our bottom line approach, I guess. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, so there's really nothing wrong with the plan of the ADU being built now, as long as the main house is redesigned before it's built, and that front door is in front of or equal to the front garage wall on the ADU.
Grayson?
Yeah.
You're right, because that's a main resident because I guess my understanding is that's the main resident until somehow you can choose what your accessory is after?
No.
You can't?
It would become the accessory because it would meet the dimensional standards of the accessory dwelling unit, because it would only be the 600 square feet and the new dwelling unit would be larger than that.
Okay, it's because the other one's larger.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, okay, even though you're building the accessory first, yeah, okay.
But there's also no reason that we can't continue and build this one now.
Correct.
We just have to redesign before we apply for a permit for the second.
Yes.
Okay. Or do split the property. And keep it along. Right.
Yes. We can discuss that. Because the assessor will have to kind of take a look at that as well.
You could always build a big one. Well, you can build the big one first and then the AA, like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Thank you. Listen, I don't know. We have our rules and that's the way you go through them. I do appreciate over the years, we've been getting a lot much better information, and this is really as good information as you get late out of time to have the surveys, the topographical, the eagles and everything nowadays, so that, you know, we don't have to look like we didn't have enough information to make a good decision, even though it's not in your favor. But we do appreciate all the work you're going through and trying to do it properly and minimize and get it to where you really are comfortable with. Because it is, not too many people take on those kind of lots. There's, you know.
Be surprised what we focused on.
Yeah.
Well, I know, I've seen you around, you do fine, but I'm just saying, not too many people take them on. I've seen a lot of lots change hands 3 or 4 times before somebody finally builds on those, on some kind of a challenging lot, but yeah. So. Okay, yeah, sure, go ahead.
This is just for now, nothing like the city, when it referenced that the lot is 40% bigger, or 50 to 30% necessary. It's based on the requirements for it to build in the one W area.
Yes, that's correct.
Not necessarily that lot is not equivalent to 102 to 107 buffer is.
Correct. It's just against the zoning ordinance
Right,
standards.
yeah, no,
So is that 40% you referenced equivalent to it being flat, or is it?
Yeah, it's equivalent to it being flat. It's just the area as a whole.
That lot out that we have is flat, even though it's nowhere close.
Correct.
especially when you get to your buildable space compared to a lot of, you know,
Well, it was just came down to.
yeah. Yeah, that number sounds awful. It sounds awful, right? It might be the right word, but we all know it's not exactly the flat buildable, all type of a, you know, meet a flat lot that is all buildable either, but yeah,
Plus with an easement, you know.
right. Well, the deer would use it a lot, probably.
But we did hear, from what Chris had mentioned, so the future larger home to be that front door distance line up with that garage on the end. Is that right, Grayson?
Yes. Yeah, it just can't be located between the front door and the public right of way. So in line would meet that standard.
Okay.
But then you're gonna have to get that approved through all the Eagle and all that again, or? Well, never mind. It's idle chatter, best saved for another time, other than a official meeting. So I apologize.
All right, thanks, guys. Thank you. All right, under new business, we also have a approval of the 2026 ZBA meetings, which is on page 52, which fall on the second Thursday of the month. Not that they all are met, but those are our schedules that we publish. Does anybody have any concerns with those dates? Or any, okay? So it is our formal process in the January meeting to approve those meetings for the year. Ask for a motion to approve those meeting dates as proposed.
I move that we approve those meeting dates as proposed.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Second,
No, second.
does that need a vote or is that a hand show?
You can do a voice vote.
Voice vote? All signify by approving the agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, approval of the meeting dates is taken care of. Number 7, any communication?
Just the ones for the applicant,
Just the one,
the three that we have for the applicant.
yeah. I'll get to that on commission comments. So no one else on communication or any public about tonight, okay. Any comments, commission comments, anybody have?
I would comment the applicants tonight. They put a lot of work into this and they brought us a really good package that we could understand and go through without, a lot of extra work on our part.
Yeah, well, Eagle alone is a big hoop or whatever, and let alone have to worry about details like they ran into from the city. So, yeah, and this is definitely one of those times where people aren't trying to put 6 pounds in a 5 pound bag. Per se, it's, they're putting a pound in a 5 pound bag, so.
I still have a question about the lots, they're 10 through 14. With those, the actual buildable lots that were sold, or was that sold as a single? Well, I don't understand the distinction 10 through 14. If that's a single lot or if it's splittable into 5 lots.
I don't know when that was platted. Do you know, Grayson, and how, if it was platted like our normal 66 by 132 foot lots and they called that a lot, or by flat?
Yeah, I'm not seeing exactly when.
Or is it because
that was
it's,
submitted.
what do they call this area?
I think those lots the individual lots were too small to be buildable. I don't think they'd have met the square foot area. I haven't checked it.
Yeah, it seems to me.
They weren't even our standard city lot, is what you're saying.
I don't think so. When you figure out the setbacks on those individual lots, you'd have,
Or is it a resort lot, which is kind of a unique thing to resort areas? Anyway, it doesn't make sense to me that you would have that distinction if they're not sellable and buildable. And you've got the one lot, which is totally unusable because it's water pipeline.
my understanding is it's real easy to do lot divisions and all you gotta do is ask for them and describe them and get a property number. And it doesn't have to satisfy any requirements. You just get a property number for this lot.
Okay.
Whether it's buildable or not is a different situation.
So there are some requirements you have to meet, but they're state requirements. It is true, though, that it can be approved and not meet zoning standards.
Yeah, you can have your cake and eat it too, right?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so my only other comment is for my purpose, but I think also for the people who do attend. We used to put down on our agendas a little, when we have the public hearing, the process. I don't know if you can put that back on the agenda.
It's on the agenda,
You're,
but not in the packet. So yes, we can put that back in.
Yeah. Oh, it's on the back, sorry. Back here, sorry. That's part of our other conversation, but we had one other time. See, and that's where,
Right.
sorry, and I would have not have skipped the overview if I'd done that properly and gotten to the. So anyway, the questions, so I appreciate that. This is a large packet, we get that way, but sometimes what we talked about on one of our meetings prior to Grayson's was, one thing is, we get everything electronically, we can review it at home on our computers, and that's fine. When we come in, we want hard copies. When you got 52, 20, 26 or whatever it amounts to, it would 26 single pages, you'd have 52 one-sided pages. I don't know if there's a way. I don't mind, I'm gonna give you my opinion. I don't mind some of these things being double-sided, but you know, when we get into, okay, now we got the minutes and we got to get rid of the minutes and that's on two-sided. I know I'm whatever I am. In this case, you know, it used to be on the agenda side, now it's back here and I got to flip a page and go like this. I don't know where to stop on that, but sometimes we're all back here going back and forth on these things. It's easy to move it.
I think the things that are, I mean, even that are immediate action items, which is, you
Seems to
know,
be those are a single would help.
which I try to separate those out. So the points, you know, the staff report and then the follow-up with the points, 1, 2, 3, 4, and any and then the proposed motion. And so it's all, you know, and even though I would, you know, I was flipping, but you know, I'm afraid some of us are analog in a digital world.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think, yes,
I just follow them.
I think that was the right answer.
So, but
And-
maybe,
And the ones with, that are the points of, you know, of action, it would help if they.
it's like, yeah, the action items that we're gonna
Back
be
there.
conducting the meeting with, to help us present a more cohesive presentation. So,
Our suggestions is what we're saying. Okay.
One couple of follow-ups. Some time ago, which may be like April or so, I don't know. We had signs that went out before there was a variance, when a variance was requested. Have those gone away? Are we still using those?
Ryan got those signs. Luke never used them, but we had very few meetings while Luke was here.
Yeah,
So we will have to check with Ryan. I think the sign is still in the basement, but what it is it's just like a sand
Go in
board
there,
sign,
yeah.
and you throw it in the property. So
It just-
yeah, we can
it-
definitely,
lets all the neighbors know this is the property.
I forgot about that, but
Yeah,
yeah.
that was gonna,
So that's one thing. I thought that was a handy thing and it did get good comments from the people in town. And number two, Grayson, I'm delighted to see your monthly reports in the meeting minutes because studying that helps me to see what's going on and gives me a peek ahead at what might be coming our way. So
Good. I'm
I,
glad it's-
I appreciate that. Thank you.
and shoot for a full week before the meeting, if you can, for a packet.
Yeah, absolutely.
And do we have any, are you looking at meetings for January right now? We need to have a meeting to elect
Yes.
officers.
Yep.
But do we have an agenda for new business?
No, at this time, there's no other items on the agenda aside from electing new officers.
Thank you.
Okay,
Does does that have to be done at January meeting or could that wait for?
Their bylaws.
Okay, perfect.
there's bylaws to be approved or something on?
No, our bylaws say that we have to elect officers in
Oh,
January.
yeah, okay, I'm sorry, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it actually says, sorry if I could butt in, the annual organization meeting will be held on the first regularly scheduled meeting of the calendar year, which I suppose is now January. We just scheduled them, but theoretically it wouldn't, it doesn't say January specifically. So it would be potentially an option if we didn't have a regularly scheduled meeting in January, but for purposes of this, I'm not sure it makes a difference.
Thanks, Trent.
It's best to do it before everybody leaves town.
I won't be here in January.
You snooze, you lose.
Yeah.
Happened to you,
Or gain.
happened to you last year too, didn't it?
Oh, I see. That's what you mean by lose. Oh, okay. Another person's loss is another person's gain or a gain and a loss, right? All right. Let's go to public comments, item number 9. I don't know if there's anybody or
Yes,
nobody
Gary
out.
Medler has his hand.
Okay, who does?
Gary Medler?
Oh, Gary does. Okay.
Hi, Gary Medler, 461 Vine Street. Historically, the lots on Frederick are part of the Upham subdivision. That plat was recorded in 1910. Those lots and all of the lots, except 6 of them were part of the Presbytery camp that were sold to Dune Ridge. And Dune Ridge sold the individual lots on Frederick to individual buyers, including the applicant tonight. I'm surprised that they didn't know about the easement with all of the utilities going through the middle of the lots. And lots in 1910 were 50 by 123. So you need 2.5 lots in our subdivision back here in order to build one home. So that's just the historical basis for your information.
Thank you. Thanks, Gary. That's good to have that local knowledge.
Yeah, okay.
All right, appreciate it.
Yeah, bye.
Okay. That's it for public comment. And we can adjourn. Boom.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Oh, we got
I make a-
motion to adjourn. I thought I could post it.
Second.
Pardon?
I would make a motion if
Yes.
we need that, I would make a motion that we adjourn.
And I'll second.
Thank-
All in favor?
Yes.
Signify by saying aye. Yes, aye, please. Okay.
Now you can.